So, can I diagnose myself? That's a very big question we get as therapists because someone might show up to therapy saying, listen, I watched a lot of TikTok videos, I watched a lot of reels, and I think I have OCD. I think I have autism, according to what I'm reading online. And I love this because historically, especially women were missed in psychology because the psychological world was built around men and studying men, measuring men. Women were often forgotten. So I think it's incredibly empowering that we have all this social media content on mental health where women are learning more about mental issues that might be affecting them. But the tricky thing is that diagnosis is not there to simply confirm what you've decided about yourself, because diagnosis itself is a neutral endeavor, as neutral as it possibly can be, because everyone brings biases to the table. But that speaks to the necessity of a trained clinician to create the assessment process, because a trained clinician is taught to address their biases, to make sure that we're looking at the client as objectively as possible so that external influences aren't impacting your care. Because if you receive an incorrect diagnosis, that can be incredibly harmful. And sometimes that diagnosis might be against the things you think about yourself. But my job as the trained counselor is to help you work with the symptomology that you're presenting with, and I don't need a diagnosis to do that. So self-diagnosis is very controversial because people's autonomy matters. It matters that you get to have an opinion about yourself. You get to advocate for yourself, especially as women or minority populations. But I would urge anybody to go in with an open mind, addressing the fact that assessment itself is a neutral process and a clinician should be trained to leave their bias at the door. And a bias includes thinking, they have this disorder, because what else might they discover about you that might be missed if that bias was on the table?